Welcome to the Multidimensional Creator. I'm Evangeline Hemrick, your host. Side effects of listening to this podcast may include becoming radically sovereign over your life and taking full responsibility, breathing deeper, moving in new ways that make you feel really good, doing energy work on yourself, your animals, your land, and the planet. Trusting your intuition, grounded clarity, and inspiration. So consult your intuition before proceeding further with the podcast. Welcome back to the Multidimensional Creator podcast. I'm Evangeline Hemrick, your host, and today I want to talk about something that I was going to direct to my mentorship community. And then I decided to make it a podcast episode, but it is definitely also a direct message to everyone who has already worked with me. But I think every creator, healer, teacher, entrepreneur, facilitator, and conscious human being of every kind needs to hear this because we're all experiencing our own edge. That threshold where growth starts to feel really uncomfortable. The place where your old identity is no longer fitting you. But your new identity hasn't fully formed yet either. And honestly, I think learning to stay present with that edge may be one of the greatest spiritual practices of our time, right up there with learning how to love, learning how to be in a relationship. That's definitely up there as well. Because the truth is, most people don't avoid growth because they're lazy. They avoid growth because expansion is hard on the nervous system. Expansion calls upon us to become visible in new ways. It asks us to tolerate a lot of uncertainty. Expansion also asks us to stop identifying with the version of ourselves that has always kept us safe, and that is very vulnerable. One of my edges over the past year has been teaching movement. Now, it might be the complete opposite for somebody else who's experiencing their edge going into teaching energy healing or coaching, and they come from a movement background. But not me. For over 30 years, I worked hands-on with people on a massage table. So that was my comfort zone, having my hands on someone. Then my comfort zone became being on Zoom with someone or being on the phone with them. And then that was an edge because I wasn't used to working with people and them not being in my treatment room. And I'll tell you, there's something about when someone is face down in a face cradle and I was just quietly getting to work intuitively and feel the energy and feel what was going on in their body. That was very familiar to me. It was easy. It was natural. It was like, oh, I'm born to do this. And then life asked me to stand in front of a room of people teaching Qigong at first and then yoga. And with 30 people staring at me, watching me, following my movements, that was something my nervous system was just like, absolutely not. And here it is supposed to be a nervous system regulation practice, but my nervous system had to adjust because it wasn't just about the movement. It was about the vulnerability of being so visible and everybody looking at me at once versus like a one-on-one intimate connection where I'm scanning someone's body, reading their energy. This was visibility and leadership at a new level. And that's the thing about edges. Holding the attention of an entire room. Really, really being able to step into leadership. And that is about being seen. It's not just about being a good public speaker. It's about trusting yourself. And it isn't about chasing money when you're working with your edge. It's about allowing yourself to receive. So another edge that I bumped up on in the mentorship program that I did, the Fountain, It was new and different for me. And I was trying to figure out, how do I want to structure this? How do I want to deliver all this information that I want to give? And when people get overwhelmed or when they feel like I'm giving too much information, which is, a good problem to have from an online teacher, but nonetheless, I had to refine and hone my skills and go back to the drawing board a little bit to figure out how I wanted to deliver all this information in a really digestible, sustainable way. So for those of you who were in that mentorship community with me and have reached out to me and told me that you miss it, I can't tell you what that means to me, because my edge was, is this too much? Is this too long? I mean, are they getting out of this what they want? And letting go of being so emotionally tied in to what each person in that container was going to do with the information I was sharing, that was also an edge for me. So I want to take you now. I've given you some of mine, some of my little threshold growth moments lately. Let's pause here for a moment, because I want to guide you through a tiny little practice to find your own edge. Take a breath with me and ask yourself, what currently feels uncomfortable in my life, but is also quietly exciting me at the same time? Because your own edge often contains both fear and what makes you feel really, really alive at the same time. Close your eyes if you can. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your solar plexus, and just take a slow inhale and simply notice, where does your body tighten when you think about your next level? When you think about what excites you and makes you uncomfortable? Do you feel pressure in your chest, fluttering in your stomach, constriction in your throat? Your body is so intelligent. It knows exactly where your next level lives. And now ask yourself, what am I afraid would happen if I fully step into what I want next? What's next for me? And what could become possible if I did? Just breathe there for a minute. So back to the mentorship container. I feel like a lot of you that listen to my podcast, follow me on social media platforms, I feel like you're also creating courses. You're having a platform for leadership in some way. You're getting your medicine and magic out to the world. And as you know, the best way to learn something is to teach it, right? Like we hear that old saying, but it's true. The mentorship container grew me exponentially. And that's why I really encourage you, if there's a particular type of experience that you want to offer online or in person, like a workshop, a retreat, a coaching container, do it. Do it for way more value than a business move. Way more value than income. The way that it will grow you and expand you is just magnificent and uncomfortable at the same time, because I loved the people in my mentorship. I loved how we built community. I loved the conversations and the support of journeying alongside these people and sharing technique. But I also came up on that discomfort of learning how to proficiently hold the space. I had to stop believing that I was responsible for everyone in that container for their growth. I had to stop overcarrying, not overcarrying, like carrying the load of, like I was saying before, is this too much? Am I giving them too many tutorial videos a week that they can't consume it or whatever? And I had to learn that leadership is not rescuing people from their discomfort. Leadership is creating safe enough spaces for people to meet themselves honestly. And I'm going to tell you, that mentorship community changed me forever. And I don't want to stop. All I did is restructure how I want to offer it, because I really came back to Patreon, to my Patreon community, and looking at different tiers and different levels of quality content and instruction that I can give. And I already have so much. Patreon is just helping me to organize it in a way that is sustainable for someone's budget, and not like, okay, it's this much a month. And sometimes that's a burden. Sometimes that's a delight. Who knows? Only you do. And so I like the Patreon community because you can pay at your own pace what you want, and you can dabble and like dip in there when you feel like it, or you can go all in and be like, man, I want to learn with her. I want to learn everything she's got in there. Because there's a lot. There's a lot. And there were moments where when people felt overwhelmed by the amount of content I was sharing, I would interpret that as a stress in my body. And so it was an edge for me of discernment, boundaries, sustainability. And I think many of you are going through this lesson right now of like, oh, how much is too much? And how do we teach what we've accumulated? Like for myself, it's over 3 decades of making this my life's work. So I have a lot to say. I have a lot to share. And I want to meet people where they're at. And my nervous system is finally expanding to be able to do that and to hold that. So here's another little practice for you. When you think about your edge, I don't want you to force yourself past it. I want you to regulate while you stand near it. That's how real expansion happens, not through nervous system shock, but through capacity building. So try this with me. Inhale slowly through your nose and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale slowly for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that again. A nice deep inhale and a nice longer exhale. Breathing into my mic. Sounds funny. Soften your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Now imagine that you're standing at the edge of that version of you that's emerging. Just stand there. Just breathe and become familiar with the energy of the next version of you. Because mastery is not the absence of discomfort, my friends. Mastery is learning how to stay present while the transformation is occurring. And this is why I've been feeling such a shift from teaching modalities to teaching mastery. My new support container will be a one-on-one modality to mastery. And we will take you specifically through the journey of not just learning a technique, not just having a certification in some form of healing art or whatever the technique is, but actually embodiment, integration, and nervous system capacity to hold your expansion. That is the work that I am ready to do with those who are called to work with me. I love that. Can we stay grounded while we become more visible? Can we remain heart-centered while we receive more abundance and our income grows? Can we keep our integrity as our influence grows? That's mastery. So I want to leave you with this little question. What edge are you standing at? I want to know what discomfort might actually be shaping the next version of you. And what if your discomfort is not evidence that you're failing at all? What if it's evidence and proof that you're becoming? Thank you for walking this path with me. And thank you for allowing me to grow publicly, imperfectly, honestly, and try things with you in real time. I love you all so much. All of you who leapt into that container with me in full trust and said, okay, I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but let's roll. Let's do it. Maybe that's the new earth leadership that we're all being invited into. Not polished perfection, just courageous embodiment. So until next time, keep creating consciously. And if you miss the mentorship community, check out my Patreon for options that suit you, for different ways that you can continue to work with me that are comfortable. And watch out for modality to mastery coaching one-on-one, because the offering that I'm getting ready to launch, I know that some of you are going to have a full-bodied yes. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode supported you, come connect with me on Instagram at Evangeline Hemrick. You can find my website, evangelinehemrick.com. And we also have a supportive community for multidimensional creators like you on Facebook. To go deeper with me in one-on-one work, you can book a private session with me on my website. Until next time, stay embodied, stay sovereign, and keep listening to your intuition.